I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide podcast, raw and unfiltered, sharing with you real stories, real experiences, nothing fabricated, so that we can support you in any kind of navigation of your own health journey. You know, whether it's your body, whether it's your mind, whether it's just your energy. Because here's the thing that I find. I mean, I've been in the business for about 25 years as a plastic and reconstructive surgeon. What's this guy on this podcast, right? Well, it's all about transformation for me. So if you're in a spot where you're struggling or you don't want to be struggling at all and want to be ahead of the game, being proactive, it's all about transforming some of your ideas, your beliefs, your values, and also your habits so that you can have a healthier life. I mean, why not live at least 100 years old, maybe even 150, as we know that is indeed possible, but you got to know how. And so rather than promoting, a particular product or a particular person, because there are so many people out there talking about all their stuff, we want to share with you a process by which you can navigate the complexity of all this information out there so that you can find your best path, your best journey to optimizing your health or your best health, no matter where you're starting. Whether you're perfectly healthy now or having some other struggles, my belief is that everything is reversible. Conventional medicine is so important for us today because we are the best in the world, and there's other stuff that we can be doing as well. That's why I love the fact that there's so many health coaches out there, life coaches that really can curate, educate, and then guide you in the process by which you can optimize health. We all need to be working together. And that's my mission in this world, is really to find that platform, that space that we can all work together. I call it generative collaboration as we tap into that collective wisdom. And so that's why I invite these amazing guests. They've got so much insight, so much wisdom, so much experience, and so much magic to share with you, so that just listening to them, you'll find a new way to be even healthier. So how do we actually do that today? Well, it's through role play. Yes, we are going to role play. One of them is going to present with a problem, and the other one is going to be the guide. You always want to find the right guide, right? And these two are amazing guys because I already know them. And so the purpose then is we're going to do a 6-minute role play, after they introduce themselves, and to give you some sort of idea of what that path is, and also to create that connection with real problems, because they are going to present a real problem, whether it's theirs or somebody else's. No judgment there for you, but recognize you might find yourself in that problem too, because that's one thing that we always do find. And so after about 6 minutes, some form of resolution, you'll be surprised. And then we're going to just unpack, that part for about 10, 15 minutes. And then hopefully, and it's the plan, is to give you some sort of insight, some sort of action step that you can take right away. So we'll start off with Chris today. And thank you for your service for our country, for preserving our freedoms, something that is so precious to all of us and some of us take way too for granted. But a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go with Wendy, and then we'll just dive into the role play. Chris.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, my name's Chris Lee. I was in the Army for 10 years, 7 of which was in Special Forces. Decided to do a complete career change and became a life coach last year, and I've been doing that full time since I got out, and it's been quite the adventure. A little different than jumping out of airplanes, but just as fun.
Well, I really appreciate what you do. And I know as a coach, you're very structured in the process, very mission oriented. And, the last show that we did together was spectacular. So thank you for your service, and thank you for being such a phenomenal coach. And then Wendy, of course, she's amazing. All she does, I've been following her on social media, totally cool. And so share with us a little bit about you, and then we'll start the role play.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun, and I really appreciate it. As for me, I'm a mom of 3 who was a teacher, then homeschooled my girls, and then really had somebody kind of say, "Don't you want to be a life coach?" And I was like, "Well, what's that?" And they said, "Well, it's like being a mom to adults." And I was like, "Oh, damn, I can do that." And so I was already a personal trainer and a nutritionist, so I just kind of added the life coaching aspect to it and absolutely loved it. My favorite part is just like when I was a teacher, seeing kids' faces light up, seeing adults' faces light up, like, oh my gosh, I got this. I can live my life. So that's my passion. I want to help people live their best life, whether it be fitness, nutrition, trauma, life coaching, whatever it is, I gotcha.
This is awesome. Mom for adult. Never heard of that. Never heard of it that way, but that's perfect. All right, so let's go into the role play. So Chris, you're the one presenting with the problem, and Wendy's going to guide you through a resolution.
Hey, Wendy, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today. A little bit about me. I'm currently in the Army. I'm about to get out, and I'm terrified. I've kind of wrapped my entire identity and purpose up in this career that I've dived into for the last, decade. But now I'm not going to do it anymore. How do I find a purpose? Like, how do I figure out what my purpose is after that?
Wow. Well, thank you, Chris. First off, thank you for your service. That's amazing. We truly, all of us civilians have what we have because of you and people like you. So thank you. I guess my first question would be, why did you sign up in the first place?
The real answer is I wanted to pursue something where success was not guaranteed. I wanted to be able to put all of my effort into something, and I still might come up short. I'm not into participation trophies.
Yes, I get that. Those are called breathing awards.
Right.
Okay, well, that's honorable and that's amazing. Is there a reason why you feel like you need to push yourself to a point where you don't think you can succeed?
That's a good question. I think some of it comes from wanting to show others that I have what it takes.
So is it that you're looking for validation from others?
You're going to call me out right there, aren't you? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe I am seeking some of that external validation with some of my pursuits.
Can I go a little deeper? Is that okay?
Send it.
Okay. How was your relationship with your parents growing up as far as validation?
My mom died when I was really little. I don't remember much of her. My dad remarried when I was like in 5th grade or so, and it was stormy in the house. There was no abuse or anything like that, but it was tense often, and to avoid some of that tension, I tried to be invisible as much as I could.
Interesting. Well, first off, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. That is not, especially as our, when we're kids. So how old did you say that was when your parents divorced? Or your mom died, but your dad remarried? How old was that for you?
Mom died when I was 6. Dad remarried right around 4th or 5th grade.
Okay. So that 6-year-old Chris, he's in there.
Yeah.
He's calling out. He kind of wants some validation, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. So did you know that actually you, Chris, now at 38, can actually tell that Chris at 6 years old that he's okay, that you made it, that you succeeded, and that he doesn't need validation from his parents anymore? Is there a way that you could tell that to him?
How do I do that?
Okay. Well, I mean, if you can take a deep breath first, just kind of relax. And then take another deep breath. Do you feel anything in your body that's sort of calling out to you in any way?
Maybe in my chest.
Okay. Can you put your hand on your chest for me?
Yeah.
All right. And then can you just kind of talk to 6-year-old Chris and tell him, or if you'd let me talk to him, that would be great.
Yeah.
Chris, you're amazing. You're an incredible human being. And you have succeeded and triumphed over everything that life has thrown you. It is now November 15th, 2023. And you are 38. And you are an amazing man who has done incredible things. The validation that you're seeking is from yourself. How do you feel?
A little lighter.
A little lighter?
Yeah.
Is there anything that 6-year-old Chris wants to say or ask or do?
am I supposed to do? That's what he's asking.
What am I supposed to do? That's a great question. That's a very good question. What would he like to do?
He wants to make an impact.
That's honorable and awesome. Does he know how he would like to make an impact or who he would like to make an impact on?
Good question. I think he wants to do it on a large scale.
Large scale is big. Go big or go home, right?
Right.
Okay.
You got 1 minute left, Wendy.
Okay, sorry. So
That's
we'll
good.
kind of speed this up. So back to 38-year-old Chris. Chris, what does that mean to you to hear those things come up from your 6-year-old self?
I like what you had to say in regards that I don't have to seek for the validation from other people, parents or whatever. That internal validation is what's most important. But I like that I still went back to wanting to have an impact on others. You know?
That's amazing. Yeah. And I think it's only normal, just so you know, it's only normal when someone loses a parent that they are going to seek validation, or other people, you know, coming from my background, people that were abused and they need validation, or people that were abandoned. We all seek our parents' validation. That's a totally normal thing. The problem is that when we continue to seek that validation, when we're grown, we revert back into our childlikeness sometimes. And in reality, the only validation we truly need is our own validation. And so we are so hard on ourselves as grown-ups. We constantly say we're not enough, we're not doing enough. And the world reinforces that by not paying us enough, or our spouse not appreciating us, or our kids not listening to us. So it just continues to reiterate to us that we're not enough. But you are enough, Chris. You've always been enough because you've been you. There's nothing you need to do or say or be or act like or look like that could possibly add to how worthy you already are just by existing. So a simple thing that we can do to help ourselves is to just give ourselves acceptance. When we accomplish a little goal, because I know that you're military, so I'm sure that you never give yourself a pat on the back until the entire huge mission is accomplished, right?
How'd you guess?
So if you could break those down into little steps, and once you've accomplished the first baby step or the first part to the mission, make sure you take a deep breath and tell yourself, that was awesome, Chris. You rocked that. It gives us a dopamine hit. It helps our nervous system slow down and calm down. And it really allows our body to get out of fight and flight, which is what we're technically in all the time because of the fast-paced, stressful world. And so because we're always in fight and flight, we don't recognize that we've done something good, that we've accomplished something. And so we're never validating and accepting ourselves. So if you can just kind of find one thing every day at the end of the day to say, I did a great job on this, that would be amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you know, when you give, you know, a special forces guy an order, he follows through, right?
Yes, I do.
That's accurate.
I love working with military guys because they all do. It's amazing.
Well, that was amazing. I almost had tears to my eyes, by the way, and I'll share something in a little bit. But first with you, Chris, what was that for you?
That was good. You know,
and actually translation for listeners, that is amazing. Not just good. His word, amazing. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's an accurate interpretation. Kind of, yeah, going back to that little 6-year-old, understanding what he was seeking after kind of that event was a good perspective, because now I can move out of that phase of seeking the validation externally, because I'm not the 6-year-old anymore, and I don't have to act like the 6-year-old. So that was actually a really cool perspective. I like that.
Wendy, what was that for you?
It's always amazing to watch somebody find their younger self. We're so hard on ourselves, and we don't, and I'm speaking completely for myself too. We don't give ourselves the credit for what we've been through and what we've accomplished. We constantly see our task ahead, and we constantly revert back to those voices that tell us we aren't doing enough. And so to be able to see someone go back in time and see their younger self, it allows them to kind of turn their eyes to, oh my gosh, if I'm speaking to a 6-year-old, would I really tell him he's not doing a good job? Of course not. Of course not. So we kind of have to accept that in ourselves.
So thank you once again for extreme vulnerability. And the truth is that it doesn't matter how tough you think you are, you know, the best place to find our real self is in that vulnerability, and to give ourselves permission to be human, which is exactly what you demonstrated right there, Wendy and Chris. It allowed you to be guided. And the truth is that, you know, as we grow up, we're downloaded all these programmings, these algorithms, and we don't have the maturity or this discernment to filter out the nonsense. And so at some point, our biggest fears are we're not enough, we're going to be rejected or not loved, which all of us, it's nonsense, because our mature brain just couldn't process the craziness that was happening around us. And the truth is that I love what you just did, and thank you for that, Chris, by the way, for allowing you to go there, because most even I won't say it, but most people wouldn't, right? And I know that at one point I didn't, but finding that child within me was an incredible experience. And I actually just did a grief process this last week with a phenomenal doctor, Dr. Tennant, out of the Tennant Institute in Dallas, and connected there with a memory that was some trauma that gave me grief. Couldn't quite figure out what it was, but I do know that I had a very, very fond memory of this stuffed animal, stuffed lobster that I got from, you know, Cape Cod. And it's still, I mean, very vivid in my memory. And I don't even know what happened to it. And I'm thinking, what, did I lose it? And am I feeling grief when I was maybe 4 years old because of that? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be so big that you're losing a parent, but it's so many things that happens to us. So we just have to give ourselves permission and find beautiful souls, you know, like yourself, Kristen, like Wendy, you know, to guide us to be that vulnerable. We're not doing psychoanalysis here. We're just kind of becoming more experiential, because all of our memories are held holographically. And that's why Wendy asked, you know, Chris to put the hand on the chest, because all of our memories are stored, you know, throughout our bodies in all the cells, and we can reconnect with them. So I'd like to give the floor to both of you. What would you want to share? What do you want people to know?
Wendy, you can go first this
Yeah,
time.
okay. I guess authenticity is something that our world does not promote. And I wish more people could step into their authenticity, because I know that once they do, they will find exactly what they're looking for, because we're truly seeking a soul that we connect with. And the soul that we connect with the most is our own. And when we are constantly living in a place that's another reality, because we think that who we are is not enough, we are not at peace. We are not in balance with our own body, and our body is energy. And when our body is out of whack and we're getting these chronic illnesses and chronic diseases and joint pain, and it's because our body is screaming at us that it's not being heard, and it wants to be heard. We have all these younger selves that are screaming, hey, I need validation. I need to know, have you know that I'm alive? And we don't, we push everything down, because, you know, especially Chris and I, we're the generation that, you know, can handle everything. Gen Xers, we can just shove it all down. And it's just, I guess the challenge I'd give to anyone is, if you can try and start to find who you are and find your authenticity. And the step that you can take to find that authenticity is stop lying to yourself. I know that's a hard one, because we, especially people pleasers, oh my gosh, but take little steps. And when you find yourself lying to yourself, be like, nope, I'm not lying on this one. And especially, sorry, this is going long. Sorry, because
No, this is
especially as
good.
females.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
especially as females, I think we really do a really huge disservice to our girls raising them, because we tell them to be, yes, women, and religion does a terrible job of this too. Please, men. And I know that I can say this because I've said it out. I'm very vulnerable on this because I want people to know this happens, but it causes girls to get raped. And I've been in that situation because we think we have to please everybody. And instead of pleasing ourselves, we please society, we please men, we please, because we don't think we can say no. So everybody, if you can just take that one step of being honest to yourself, one honesty at a time, and make the world a better place.
And this is why I want this platform to go, because it's having these kinds of conversations that you're not really hearing anywhere else. And it's really becoming raw. And the truth of the matter is, we live in a very confusing world, because in that particular instance, you're getting two completely opposing stories from people that you think you can trust. So who do you believe? Ultimately, you have to check in with your own intuition and understand, okay, are these people being authentic? I mean, do I feel that in my heart, or am I trying to accomplish a facade or a mission or belonging with somewhere else? And so therefore I'm going to behave in this manner. I mean, it's one thing to have a mission with a very specific outcome and a very specific purpose, because it's going to serve the world, and serve others first, not yourself. But when it's just self-serving, then you're probably on the wrong track, and you're not listening to the right people. So I thank you for that, vulnerable share. And we need to have much more of this kind of conversation. I'm certainly going to bring you back on this one. Chris, your words, your thoughts. What do you want to add?
Yeah, I think vulnerability is where all the healing takes place. I mean, for years, I would hide behind dark humor to keep that pain at arm's length. And it's been kind of recently that dealing with some of that work on a deeper level, and allowing myself to stop laughing at horrible things, and to actually feel the pain a little bit. That's where that vulnerability, and that's where that healing has been taking place in my own life. And so it's difficult, but I think the key is surrounding yourself with the kind of people that can handle it. Something I say often is, real friends stab you in the face. And what I mean by that is, like, they are okay with standing in your fire and saying, hey, you need to tighten this up, or you are not meeting the standard you've set for yourself. But that also means that those kind of people are also the kind of people that are able to sit and grieve with you when you're hurting, and not make it about themselves, and celebrate the victories when you do experience those. So the key to, in my opinion, the key to real vulnerability is ensuring that the people that you surround yourself with are able to handle it.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part too, because we also want to belong. We also want to be safe, and so it's sometimes easier to know the devil, or it's the devil versus the devil that you don't.
Right.
And so people stay in these environments and these spaces because it's comfortable, even though it's painful. But you're absolutely right. I mean, your best friend, and this is what I was teaching at a Tony Robbins event recently, is that your best friend are the ones that hold you to a higher standard, because they know you're capable of it. They're not jealous of you. They're not fearful of you, and they get excited with your success. And that's my thing. I mean, I get teary-eyed when I see other people succeed. And that just reminds me of our potential, and actually reminds me that I'm still playing too small, right? So I want to have a big impact, just like you do, Chris, and I know Wendy does as well. And wherever that comes from, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, if it's genuine and it's serving the greater good for others, that's awesome. And I think we can all do that. And if we want to model, just look at those people out there that are genuinely, that they're genuinely doing great things for others. And just to keep on that track, what you're going to do is probably a lot smaller, or maybe bigger, who knows? But it doesn't matter. Nobody's keeping score. The fact of the matter is, if you can change somebody's life in a positive manner, that's what's exciting. and I do all these things, pretty much all pro bono and all these other things that I do, changing people's lives. That's what's a lot of fun, because we can. So I'm going to wrap it up with you, Chris. How do people get a hold of you, and your final comment?
Yeah, I'm on social media, so TikTok and Instagram. My Instagram handle is coach_Chris.Lee. I'd love to chat with you there if you want to check out some of my stuff. Final thoughts. I think we've all kind of mentioned it, the vulnerability, the authenticity. That's where real growth happens. If you want to heal, if you want to make big impact, it begins with self, and ensuring that you are acknowledging some of the pain that you've gone through, and not keeping it at arm's length just because it's painful, but rather acknowledging it, healing from it, moving forward, and ensuring that you're being authentic and being true to oneself to ensure that you can have that impact moving forward.
And I love that too, because sometimes for some people, or maybe everyone, it's scary to be different. It's scary to be yourself. It's scary to be authentic. But at the other side of that fear is your freedom, and then there won't be any regrets. And it's exciting out there, and it feels really good, and people will feel that too. Wendy.
Yeah. Thank you. Wendy Lynn with 2 N's, Myers, Myers. Just spelled that. That's my coaching page. So Wendy Lynn Myers. My Facebook is Wendy Lynn, and my coaching website is phoenixrising.fitness. So any of those places you can get a hold of me. Just DM me. Let's see. Closing thought. I think I'm going to go off of the same thing and just say, be that one inspiring light, because a light can light a million others. And it just takes one person in a room to be authentic for other people to start seeing, oh my gosh, that's okay to be that. I'm going to start being that. So be that one.
Thank you for that. And, that's also part of the podcast, right? So people can see what other people are doing, and that it's okay, to have these problems. You're not alone, right? I don't think anybody has a unique problem that no one else ever has. They may think they do, but they don't.
They don't.
Humanity's been around a long time. So, but the other part is that it's okay, to get some help. I can't tell you how much help I've gotten over the years. And this is why I love to dish it out as much as I can if anybody wants to listen, because it's those nuggets, those really small nuggets that make all the difference. And I've recently joined the Sean Callagy group from I'm Blinded. And it's been a beautiful experience for me, because I'm getting all these amazing insights. I mean, shoot, I thought I was supposed to know all these things already, but that's also why I have this podcast with all of you beautiful guests that I have, because it's the wide variety of things that we get to experience. And I know you were mentioning earlier, Wendy, and then, Chris educated us perfectly, and I forget exactly what he said, but what is it? The master of many is the master of one, is the master of what? What is it? No. What was it again?
Go for it, Chris.
Jack of all trades, master of none is often better than a master of one.
Right. That.
And that's okay too, right? As long as one thing is clear, and we all have that, but oftentimes we need a coach to help us. Is what's our purpose? What's our life purpose? What's going to make us happiest, and having very specific outcomes. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I am Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide podcast, raw and unfiltered, bringing to you real stories, real experiences, and real triggers. And if it wasn't for the triggers, we wouldn't grow. So be grateful for all those triggers out there, paint to purpose, to help manifest the kind of life that is within you, which I learned many years ago as well. Thank you so much, and we will be back.